Ever feel like you're just, I don't know, stuck, like with life stuff, or maybe those health things that doctors can't quite pin down?
Oh, absolutely. And it makes you wonder, doesn't it? Like, what if there's something else going on?
Yeah.
Something deeper?
Exactly. And that's kind of what we're getting into today. We're doing a deep dive into some, well, pretty mind-bending ideas about our reality, about energy, and maybe what's influencing us way down at a fundamental level.
It's definitely thought-provoking
It
stuff.
really is. And we're drawing these insights from a specific source today. It's an audio called The Loosh Loop. It's a trap.mp3. Comes from Chris at Truly Holistic.
Okay.
So our goal, our mission, if you like, is to really unpack this concept of loosh. What is it? How, according to this theory, might we be, energetically manipulated?
And crucially, how can we maybe get back some control? How can we empower ourselves if this framework has some truth to it?
Precisely. I have to say, I found some of the perspectives in here genuinely surprising.
Yeah, me too. So let's start with the basics. What exactly is loosh? Or loosh? Sometimes it's spelled differently.
Right. So the source defines it as a low dimensional energy or low vibrational.
Okay, low vibrational and specifically
Specifically, fear energy. That's the key. Energy that, according to the source, humans produce.
fear energy. Got it. And it's not just ambient energy.
Apparently not. This is where it gets, well, pretty intense. The source claims there are entities that actually feed on this loosh.
Entities, like what kind of
The
entities?
source mentions things like reptilian beings, demon beings, even archons. These terms pop up in various, esoteric circles.
Okay, wow. So these beings are supposedly feeding on human fear.
hmm
And how does this connect to everyday problems, like health?
Well, this is a huge part of the theory. The source claims loosh is found at the core of most or essentially all health problems.
All health problems. That's a sweeping statement.
It is, whether it's, say, an infection or arthritis or whatever. Loosh is presented as this foundational layer, the underlying thing.
And it gets cleared out last, it says.
Yeah, like it's the deepest level of the issue, the low vibrational energy that's always there.
Hmm. Okay, so if these manipulators, as the source calls them, feed on this,
Yeah.
how do we end up generating it? Is it just automatic?
Not exactly. That's where the loosh loop or trap idea comes in. The source says these manipulators don't actually make the loosh themselves.
Right. They need us.
Exactly. They manipulate us to manipulate our emotion response to create loosh for them. That's the quote. We become like a battery source.
The energy source.
Yeah.
Wow. So our own emotional responses are being hijacked, essentially.
That seems to be the implication. And it goes further. It suggests that even things like the law of attraction or manifestation,
Things we think of as positive tools.
yeah, even our sense of purpose, our dharma, can apparently be manipulated within this system, diverted.
So how does that manipulation work day to day?
Well, the source suggests that life's challenges, the difficult stuff we all face, aren't just random hurdles. They're kind of designed.
Designed.
Yeah.
To do what?
To provoke those low vibrational emotions, envy, anger, and especially fear.
Ah, okay. To get us to produce the loosh.
Right. It's positioned as the opposite of the high vibrational emotions like love and laughter, which, ideally we'd be feeling more often.
So what happens if you stay stuck in this loop,
Mm.
generating fear, anger?
Well, the source paints a pretty bleak picture. You can end up feeling like a victim trapped in this vicious cycle.
And it blocks you from manifesting what you actually want in life.
That's the idea, because your energy is being siphoned off, essentially. In this view, humanity's purpose gets twisted into just being a battery.
That's a pretty confronting thought. But is it all doom and gloom? Is there a way out?
Yes, absolutely. And this is where it gets really empowering, I think. The source stresses that we actually have a lot more control over this fear energy than we might realize.
Okay, how?
It comes down to our response. Our response to those challenges, not the challenges themselves.
Ah, right. So it's not about avoiding bad things happening.
No, because maybe you can't always do that. It's about how you react when they do. The source distinguishes between a bad experience and a good experience by saying, look, it's all just an experience.
And our response determines whether it becomes good or bad for us, energetically speaking.
Exactly. It puts the power right back in our hands, doesn't it? Regardless of the external situation.
That's a powerful shift in perspective.
Yeah.
Okay, so if our response is the key, how do we manage that response better, especially when things feel overwhelming?
Good question. The source points to something very common: uncertainty, especially the kind that comes from looking too far ahead.
Worrying about the future.
Yeah. That uncertainty leads to anxiety and anxiety brews.
Fear. Loosh. Back in the loop.
Right. So the antidote proposed is being present,
Mindfulness, essentially. Focusing on the here and now.
pretty much, focusing on this moment where there's no future and past.
Yeah.
Because in this exact moment right now, things are usually okay.
And that presence breaks the chain from uncertainty to anxiety to fear.
That's the idea. It leads to more certainty, more contentment, even love. It's about using your heart mind or your gut feeling rather than just thinking too much and spinning out.
Interesting. Okay, so presence is key.
Huh.
What else plays a role in this whole system?
Perception. Our perception is huge. The source identifies the central nervous system, the CNS, as our perception center.
Makes sense. It's how we interpret the world.
Right. But here's the kicker. The source claims the CNS gets manipulated regularly.
Manipulated? How? Why what?
It doesn't go into extreme detail on the how in this clip, but suggests this manipulation distorts our perception. It makes it harder to stay present, which then feeds back into that uncertainty and fear.
So if our perception is skewed, our reality feels skewed, and we're more likely to generate loosh.
Exactly. And this is where the truly holistic approach mentioned in the source comes in. It talks about clearing the CNS.
Clearing of what?
Things like frequency that's rupture or an entity or just negative energy.
Uh-huh.
The goal is to restore a clear mind and therefore clear perception.
And it also mentions the matrix world itself distorting perception.
Yeah, on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Through programming, which leads to the next point.
Programming. Let me guess. We're being programmed.
According to the source, yes, big time. It uses the analogy of humanity being like a computer.
The computer that gets programmed from birth.
Right. Through labels, societal expectations, norms, all that stuff.
And the purpose of this programming.
It argues this programming dumbs us down. It stops us from realizing our true nature, which the source describes as multidimensional.
Multidimensional, meaning more than just physical beings.
Yeah, connected to our soul or source. The programming keeps us locked in the physical, material view.
So the goal of, say, healing or waking up would be...
Or moving all the programming to find out really who we all are and why are we here. It's about peeling back those layers.
unplugging from the program, to use a matrix analogy.
Kind of, yeah. Now, this view obviously has huge implications for how we see health and healing.
Right. It directly challenges mainstream medicine.
It does. The source critiques it for seeing humans only as physical beings.
Which, if we are energetic beings too, is a very limited view.
Extremely limited, especially when you consider that tiny fraction of the light spectrum our eyes can see, what was it, 0.005%?
Yeah, minuscule.
Yeah.
So physical approaches are only dealing with that tiny slice.
That's the argument,
Mm-hmm.
which the source suggests is why people get frustrated when scans and tests show nothing's wrong, but they still feel awful.
Because the problem might be in the other 99.995% that's not being looked at. The energetic part.
Exactly. So the conclusion drawn is
Energy medicine has to be part of the picture,
it has to be, because if we are energy, then you need methods that work with energy, with frequency.
which covers that whole vast spectrum beyond what we see.
Right. It offers a potentially much wider lens for understanding what's going on.
Okay, this is interesting. It even rethinks infections, doesn't it?
It does. It questions the standard idea of just catching an infection, airborne, waterborne.
So what's the alternative view?
It proposes that entities use the power of intention, get this, and they intend an infection to be in that area to cause problems,
Intended infection. Wow. Why? What's the purpose?
to lower vibrations,
Yeah.
to create fear, and ultimately,
To generate loosh. It always comes back to loosh.
seems like it in this model, the source even links the catching infection idea to what it calls fear-based information.
Suggesting that narrative itself is a form of programming designed to promote fear. Maybe to push certain solutions like vaccines and such.
That appears to be the implication, yes. Fear-based info equals programming.
Okay, let's zoom out again. The big picture. This matrix world.
Yeah, the source flat out says we live in a matrix world and that the controllers are the reptilians.
Straight out of science fiction or maybe Gnostic texts.
Uh-huh.
And it mentions the movie The Matrix.
It does. Says it contains a lot of truth, like drips of disclosure, hints about our reality.
And it talks about an escape, an ascension process.
Yeah, and something called a solar flash event, which apparently will help humanity get freed from this matrix world and the manipulators. A future liberation event.
That's quite a prophecy. So given this matrix idea, how does the source view our current freedom? Like societal freedom?
It's pretty critical. It challenges the whole notion. It points to programming in education, needing degrees, getting into debt.
Or things that feel like mandates,
Yeah,
like vaccinations for school or fluoride in water.
right. The argument is basically, if there's no choice, then there's no real freedom.
So where does true freedom lie, according to this source?
It lies in recognizing this whole situation, realizing the reality of humanity's existence of this loosh, that's a quote, and then consciously deciding to step out of it
How do you step out of it?
by not giving the manipulators the energy of what they're trying to get from us.
So it comes back to controlling our emotional response,
Hmm.
choosing not to feed the fear.
Exactly. It circles back to the power of our own emotions, our state of mind. That's where our real agency is in determining our health, our destiny, everything.
It really emphasizes personal responsibility for our inner state.
Hugely. And there's one last thing. It challenges the word normal.
Normal. What's wrong with normal?
The source calls it one of the worst words in our language. Says it's designed to keep us close-minded, programmed.
To keep us conforming to the program.
Seems so. So instead, it encourages you, the listener, to feel empowered to be crazy and a little bit unusual.
To break the mold, essentially. Don't be afraid to step outside the accepted norms.
Right. So to kind of wrap this up, what's the core takeaway for you listening?
Well, it seems the central idea is understanding this concept, this loose loop, and realizing the incredible power of your own emotional response. That's presented as the pathway.
The pathway to reclaiming your well-being, your freedom from this alleged energetic manipulation.
Exactly. It might sound like a disempowering setup, this whole matrix manipulators idea, but the message underneath is actually quite empowering. It says, you hold the keys, your perception, your emotions.
You have agency, despite the system.
Right. Which leaves us with a pretty big question to chew on, doesn't it?
Definitely. Like, if our perception really is the bedrock of our reality, and if that perception can be manipulated, as this source suggests,
Then what everyday truths, what things we take for granted, might we need to, well, re-examine if we really want to liberate ourselves?
yeah, what programs are running that we don't even notice? Food for thought, for sure.